This lesson 13 is a lot like what we just did. It's just going to be more complicated with brackets, braces, and parentheses, or braces, brackets, and parentheses. There's going to be, they kind of will include each other over and over, okay? Don't be scared. It's actually a way to organize, so if you like organization, this should feel good. But it might just look a little crazy to you when you see something like this, okay? But we just kind of break it down. What we want to do is find what needs to be done first, okay? So already I know that the 4 and the minus 2 out here are just need to wait. They're like, they don't get to play until the very end, okay? So honestly, who is within the deepest parts of this inclusion would be this and this set. These two things need to be done first, as you see, as they get wider and wider in the symbols of inclusion, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that. So when I see what I'm looking for first, I'm going to go ahead and write what's not going to play yet, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and write the braces. That might be a while for you to get used to writing those, okay? And then I'm going to take care of this and this, and I have a -5, and we have a -3, and a -5. And now we close all of this up. Okay, so there's one step. Now I write big, so you can't tell that we've actually simplified it a little bit. Okay, so now what we're going to do is look within these parentheses, just mean multiplication. So we're going to do this, and then maybe do this. Sometimes you can do a couple things in one line. So I'll show you what I'm doing by not combining steps. So what that turns into is a +15, and I'm getting rid of the parentheses because that's not really necessary anymore. -5. Okay, here we go. Now I would have maybe done that myself. So what that is a 10, right? So now what we have basically is a 4. And then we can even change this to brackets. 4 times 2 times 10 minus 2. Okay, so we do this first. 4 times 20. So here I'm going to write it out here because I'm running out of space. So that is 4 times 20 minus 2. Now notice I'm kind of getting rid of the braces as I can and the brackets. Okay. Now, what yours looks like between here and here is going to look different than what mine looks like. It's never going to be exactly the same. So if you did something slightly different, as long as you follow the right order of things, then it's okay. You might skip a step, combine steps. I'm just showing every single step. You might have a braces here rather than a bracket, or parentheses or a dot between those two. There's so many ways to do notation on this that I can't expect everyone's to look exactly like mine, okay? You just kind of get going on it and you'll have your own style, maybe. Okay, so that's 80 minus 2. And that answer is 78. Okay. Now even in the book, if you look in the book, theirs looks different than mine quite a bit. They put a lot of steps together, okay? I showed them all mainly because I'm not there to tell if your face looks confused or not, so I like to show every single step for you guys, okay? All right, again, now we've got similar thing. We got to do the numerator, and then the denominator. Now the denominator we can probably do in one. That's just -3 times 2, isn't that? -3 times 2. Well, I'm going to just write it. You know, the more careful you are, when you try and do a lot of this in your head, you're apt to make a mistake and get a wrong answer on a test, okay? So it is good to show and slow it down. Show and slow. I don't know. Okay, so then the -3 is not going to play, but I'm going to go ahead and do, in here is going to be -5 times -2. Oops, close my parentheses. Okay, now the book probably did this. Yeah, they went from here to, no, kind of like mine. They had braces instead of brackets. So mine looks a lot like theirs. Yay. Okay, so I ran out of room, so I'm going to drop down a level. I'm even going to bring it over here. So now I have a -3 times +10. See how I got from there to there? Okay. Most of math learning, algebra, geometry, and is really things go in steps, and as long as you know how you get from one step to the next step, step by step, then you'll be in good shape. Okay, so there's that. And so that's -30 over -6. We've got two negatives, so it's a +5. There we go. Okay, now these are some interesting ones. Basically, the answer to these are all positive or -2, but we're just showing you how this all can get a little complicated. Now, the book also talks a little bit about from left to right, and you can go ahead and read that if you want, 58 through 59 on order of operations. I've kind of skipped it because I tried to talk about it in yesterday's lesson. So if you need to just peek at that, maybe look and make sure you know what they're talking about. Okay, so now we're talking about these negatives. And remember, we talk about a negative in front of something means the opposite. So this means the opposite of -2. Okay, the opposite of -2 is +2. I also think of how many negatives are there? 1, 2. 2 negatives is an even number, so I'm going to have a positive answer. And if that's true, then I would have 1, 2, 3. This should be an odd answer, and this should be an even answer. Sorry, I have 4 there. Okay, so let's check. This means the opposite of the opposite of -2. The opposite of the opposite of -2. Okay, so the opposite of the opposite of -2, well, the opposite of -2 is +2. The opposite of that is a -2. Okay, this is the opposite of the opposite of the opposite of -2. Okay, again, what I do is just count up the negatives that are getting used with this guy. Okay, so it's the, or if we do it the way the book likes to say, the opposite of -2, so we're at a +2 here. The opposite of that, now we're at a -2. Opposite of that is a +2. Okay, I'm just showing you how things can get a little tricky. Now we have example 3. And we just determine the signs of the following products. Do not calculate. Okay, again, I just like to count negative signs. I think we've already talked about this. 1, 2, 2 negatives. Okay, and these are all factors. So 2 negatives means we're going to have a positive answer. Okay, this one, no negatives. So that was a big fat duh, wasn't it? Okay, this one has 1, 2, 3 negative signs, so that's going to be a negative answer. That's all we had to do there. Okay, now we're still doing that. Determine if they are positive or negative here. And make sure I'm focused. There we go. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's going to be negative. Now this is different. I have 1, 2, 3. So these 3 things are a negative number. And this is going to be a negative number. Okay? So notice this. We have a negative plus a negative. So we know it's going to be a negative number. Okay? Without actually calculating it out. All right. Now practice. So go ahead and go through the practice and come back and check your work. Okay, so you should have already done this. Now I'm going to do it nice and slow, step by step. You might have combined some steps, and that's okay. All right, so he's not going to play yet, and I'm going to go like this, and this, -4 times -3, -7, -10, -4, Okay, and then I see I don't like writing braces. It's a little tricky or not very fun, right? So maybe I'm going to take care of everything in here. Well, let's go. Okay, that's a positive 70 minus 4. I told you I would do step by step. Whoa, look at those braces. See how ugly it can get? And I've been writing braces forever, but sometimes your hand can get out of control. Okay, so now we have this. Whoa, look at that. Crazy braces. That's okay. And we have 2 times... uh-oh, Leslie. Getting tired. Hang in there. Okay. So now really we have 2 times 6. Altogether, this means 3 times 2 times 66, honestly. So 2 times 66, well, it's 12 plus 120, right? 12 plus, yeah, I'm going to say that. So that's 132. And we're going to multiply that times 3, and I'm going to do 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9. And then I'm going to go and check my answers. Yep, 396. Woohoo! Okay. B, let's do the top and the bottom, numerator and denominator. Always, they're being so nice to us with these denominators, aren't they? The denominator here is just going to be 2 times negative 3, which will actually simplify, but let's take care of this up top. Now, some people write answers up here, and I'm telling you, it's a good way to lose sight of a number and get a wrong answer. I never see that work out well for someone consistently on tests. It's better to write it out. And so, I might run out of room here. Let's see what we got. There's my ugly braces, my brackets, and I'm going to have, basically, here's what I see we can do. Parentheses, so that's the same as negative 3 times inside here is negative 5 times 3, which is negative 15. Okay, minus 5. Oh, so I'm going to go ahead and do this. Okay, so in here now we have a negative 15 minus 5, negative 3 times negative 20, all over negative 6. Okay, so I have a positive 60 over negative 6, so we're going to have a negative answer. And there we go. Okay, this one, negative 2, negative 2, negative 3. Now, so right away I see 1, 2, 3, 4 negative signs, so this can be positive. And 2 times 2 is 4, and 3 times 3 is 9, so that's 4 times 9, which is 36. Okay, now again, basically 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be positive, right? Opposite of negative 2 is a positive 2, negative 2, positive 2. Okay, this one is the following product a positive or negative number? Do not multiply and give the reason. Okay, I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 negative numbers. That's an odd, so it's going to be negative. Or I guess you could write negative. Then you see how you have to write y. Okay. Here's y. There are 7 negative signs. I'm even going to abbreviate negative signs. And then it's therefore the product, let's sound all mathy, right? Must be negative. Okay, I'm just gonna finish that off with a happy face. Okay, there you are with 13 odd numbers, please, and enjoy. Keep it nice and neat and slow it down.